living on the Azores. Do I pronounce it well? On the islands? Yes.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually I've known Robin because he's like quite known on the internet, especially for the topic of content curation. And so I thought it would be nice to invite Robin and share some of his expertise with us. So welcome, Robin. And the topic we chose is the best way to learn anything is content curation. So that sounds very promising. And what will do tonight is we will focus on three different things. One, first, the definition of content curation. What is content curation? Then, what is so cool about content curation and learning? And then we'll wrap up with some examples also about using content curation in an organizational setting. And for some of you, it may be new to have a webinar in English language. But to reassure you is that none of us is actually a native speaker. Even Robin is not a native speaker. So I think we can just invent our own English words. So don't be shy to ask your questions. So welcome, Robin. And can I give the floor to you?
Thank you, indeed, Joyce. Thank you very much for your kind introduction, and thank you for being here today and having reserved time for this special workshop about curation, learning, and the organization. I will actually mix in my showcase today all of the elements that Joyce just presented. That is, what is content curation, why it is so important, and the real world examples. Actually, I will use as much as possible real world examples because I think they are one of the very best ways to learn and discover something and understand what it is about instead of hearing somebody and just reading a few words. So my showcase that will follow is very, very rich in showing you true real world examples that exist right now of curation at work. And in fact, I would like, first of all, to start this event by asking you to jot down yourself your best definition in one sentence of what content curation is. And
Yes.
that would be good for two reasons. First one, because curation is really about asking questions and not taking things for granted, and also to have some kind of benchmark for you to check where you're at now and where you will be after you look at the examples that I will show you. Are you really already understanding exactly how curation is being used for learning and for business and for human resources inside the organization, or how distant you are from it? I have lost view of my presentation indeed, but I can go
Yeah.
on without problems. I would
Yeah,
just
but
like to hear from
okay, yes,
if it,
Robin, let's first take some time for the brainstorm. So people, this is a whiteboard, so people can click on the T, and then they can jot down their definitions. Yeah.
but
So
I would like just them to. Okay, go ahead.
yeah. Or do you want to go back to the slides first? I thought it's nice if they type their definitions. Let's take some time for that.
Yes, it doesn't have to be something public in my view. I would just them like to type it down, but
Oh,
fine.
okay.
If this is the best way you normally do it, go ahead. That is
Yes.
fine for me. I will
we are
wait.
we are very public, working out loud. Yeah. So please, and if you're on a tablet, it is possible that you don't see the T, but then you can still write by using like a pen. Yeah. Or if you want, I can. You can also write in the chat, and I will copy it. Yeah. So let me see. People say it's making sense of what you read, or bringing together information about the topic. Search information, make sense of it, and share it. Make a short notice of highlight about the topic. Seek information, filter, and bring it together. And combining different parts and creating something new. Inspire people to be creative, to remember and find content. So does that make sense to you, Robin?
Yes, indeed, makes a lot of sense and shows that you as a participant are quite equipped already about curation and some of its key characteristics. Indeed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so here's your slides.
Good. I wanted to inspire you before we jump to the whiteboard with a few sentences, a few descriptions, definitions is the best word of curation, which could have helped and do still help those of you that are not totally familiar with this discipline, art or science, whatever you want to call it. I think if you're looking through them, you can gain three aspects of curation that are quite not the most popular ones that are used. For example, this one, it says that in an ecosystem of abundant content and no end of competitors, publishers should want to be curated so that readers may find their content. So while obvious and non-obvious consideration is that curation helps a lot the discovery of content, of resources, of tools, of people that otherwise would not be easily found. And this one as well from Alexandra Molotov. Give it a read. I think it's so boring to hear people read what is in front of you. Let me give you a second. In this way, we're looking at curation as a means to be guided by somebody else in looking at things. Because if curation is the art or science of bringing together, vetting, verifying, organizing, sorting, and adding value and an opinion to something, curation is, by definition, something that is very subjective. So while you can see that as a positive or negative element, it is a characterizing trait of anybody who wants to be a guide. A strong guide as a viewpoint, and usually a strong one. Doesn't pretend to be just objective about things, but it brings in also his credo, his philosophy, his way of looking at things, either from a spiritual, philosophical, or rational viewpoint. But let's dive into more concrete items and look at what content curation is by looking at the different types, though there isn't a defined set, a Bible, or what are the official curation types. I've chosen the ones that I feel myself being the most relevant for our initial exploration together. In fact, if you want to explore more the world of content curation and the visuals and the types of approaches that are there, I have created a large collection of visuals that can help anybody who needs to explain to others what content curation is in a simpler way. In fact, the first tile on top of this Pinterest collection is the element we were just looking at here. Here is in negative, here is in positive, and you can find it there alongside with some other, more than 100 other visuals that can help you explain to other people what curation is. Here is the URL. You'll be able to click through it when you get the reference PDF of this presentation, so you have a resource available to you. The approaches I want to explore together with you rapidly are these ones: filtering, aggregation, distillation, synthesis, and investigation. Again, these does not pretend to be a comprehensive set of all the approaches. There are certainly more, or there are people that describe being there more. I find these to be probably the most relevant ones for, again, anyone who's approaching curation for the first time. Let me dive right into each one of these by giving you some real-world examples. Let me start with filtering. Definition that I give to filtering is the facilitation of identifying ideal matches for a specific need by organizing, vetting, and making it easy to find the most relevant information on a specific subject. So take Coursera. Probably several ones of you who are in the learning field are familiar with this site. What does this site do? It organizes existing information about over 1,000 universities, top courses that are out there. What is the problem with those university top courses? It's the same problem I have when I go to the supermarket and there are 100 different shampoos. I don't have the time, I don't have the tools every single time, since they move them around, to find out easily what is the best one for me, because the criteria used last time does not work in the supermarket again. So students today who are looking for alternative ways to learn by accessing all of the extraordinary open courses that are out there have a difficult time, because it requires lots of time for them to find this stuff. And Coursera, what does it do? It gathers, it collects, it picks the very best ones, and it offers you ways to search and to find the ideal ones, offering you learning pathways, search tools to make that path very easy. And it doesn't ask for any money to do this. Actually makes a good part of his sustainability through the subscriptions to certificates that some of the students then want to get. So this is a different look at curation as we see it every day normally, and into how organizing information and adding value to it can be used in many different ways and can be used inside almost any organization. So in rapid recap, this is Coursera, this is the URL, it collects and organizes, makes it easy to find the best free online courses from top universities. Let's look at another 2 or 3 examples from the same field. This one is called Springboard, and they go more specific into specific interest areas, and they create custom learning paths, again by picking and choosing high quality courses that are available online. Most of these are free, some of them could be paid, but the revenue for Springboard doesn't come from this. So this is complete free value they're giving out to any of the customers by curating this information, and their return is in offering to those who want it the ability to have a mentor or a coach that guides them through their learning program. So here you see, for example, one of their learning paths, and the individual course items that you see under core resources come from different providers, from different universities, from different colleges or schools that offer learning materials on that topic. So Springboard curates learning paths for free for anyone, while becoming sustainable through offering mentoring and coaching services. So they create value through curation, and they monetize it by adding premium services that satisfy the main need of those that utilize those courses.
Robin?
One more example is Yes,
Robin? Yes, can I interrupt you?
yes.
Nobody in the group knows Springboard already. And they're asking about what it really is, and it sounds similar to Coursera, or is it different from Coursera? Springboard.
Is similar.
Similar,
I
yeah.
would suggest, since we have a lot of the resources, if we can
Yeah,
bring together all the questions at the end in the area we're reserved to Q&A, or
yeah.
would you prefer to get the question as they come along? Because then I would think we would not be able to
To
really look
finish.
at all the examples we have.
Yeah, no, that's right. But I thought this is really for understanding also. And another question is, your webcam has gone off. Is it possible to
You
put it
can
on?
ask all. I turned it off myself as we had agreed so that people
Yeah.
can focus on the content.
Yes.
Why would they want to see my face?
Yeah. But
If you want it,
Anna said she likes to
but
see.
if okay, let's put the webcam back on, definitely.
See it as a compliment that they like to see you. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So how shall we proceed, Joytske?
Yeah,
What is your
just
preference?
proceed, and then I will collect the questions in the chat. And if they're not very urgent, we'll keep them to the end.
Good, yes. I think that will allow us to explore more, and we can ask all these questions at the end, and certainly I am able to answer them all, even though we have already gone through them. It'd be a pleasure to clarify any of those things. So back to course buffet, we are really in the same sector from where we started, just the same as Coursera. They have slight different approaches. I'm bringing you more than one because I want you to see that this is not just an exception, a unique idea, but it is actually a trend that shows an application of curation that is effective, efficient, useful, and also economically sustainable. So Course Buffet does something very similar again, and what it does, it offers again different areas of learning. So if you have not understood the preceding one, this one will clarify further, and they bring together key courses, key quality courses, many of them free, open educational resources, some of them paid to the learning paths that they offer to students. Here you see the communications course program for Course Buffet, and you can see that the individual course elements are provided. I'm highlighting them with the orange boxes from different providers, from different universities. So again, we are curating existing information, resources that are already available, and creating value and service out of organizing this stuff. We're not creating stuff anew. We're building context around it. eLearn Hero is one more and last example of this genre, this style of curation for learning that is being used out there, and it's specialized in this case of digital professional roles. So you see Google Track, SEO Manager Track, email marketing specialist, as well as a business development manager. There are many more. They have different categories. And again, if I go and look specifically at what are the sources of the individual programs and classes inside there, I can see a whole lot of different providers. Their job is to find those ones, put them together in a curriculum that makes sense. This is not the future anymore. This is the present. It's called eLearn Hero, and you find it there at elearnhero.com. Let me jump now to a different field, otherwise you think I'm stuck or in love with those type of situation. It's not. I just wanted to see a particularly strong trend. Something that you're probably not familiar with is the fact, although you hear a lot of discussions and articles and videos on business models, at a reality like this. This one guy, this very small startup, has created a very successful catalog of the very best business models out there that companies online and offline, like EasyJet, you see right here in front of you, have. Let me explain this a little better. So every company we understand today has a business model. That is, it has a set of variables that it plays with to make its business sustainable and actually growing. If you're familiar with startups, you're familiar with this type of template, which is the lean model canvas, it's called. It's a template that allows a company to. I can hear a background noise from an open microphone. Just can we close
Okay.
and mute them
Yeah.
all, please?
Yeah.
This temp this template shows you the different areas that the business model is made of: partners, key activities, value propositions, and more. And we have in this catalog called Business Model Gallery the actual variables, the actual strategies and tactics used by tens of successful companies. So this is of extreme value for any entrepreneur, for any organization, for any startup, for any investor that wants to look and be inspired, get new ideas, and compare his approach to the one of others. Again, what we're doing here, we're collecting information that exists already out there. We're not writing a play, we're not writing a movie, we're collecting and organizing existing information that is publicly available, and we have converted it into a useful, immediately applicable set of information that people can access. This is a service you can access for free and look at 5 business models without having to pay anything. And you would pay if you want more. That is, access all of them. You pay a subscription for as long as you want, or you can get training and courses on understanding better. Let me get even to a much simpler, lower level. Here again, I want to show you how curation is pervading different businesses and areas, and it can be used by any organization to facilitate a number of things. Here is a service targeted at entrepreneurs, at those who have a startup and would like to have journalists to write about them. So, outside of what do I write to a journalist to get them to talk about my startup, how do I find those ideal journalists? I mean, where do I get the list of them? Well, these guys at Press Farm have exactly done that. They have gone out and spent quite a few weeks in finding out who are the journalists that specialize in startups. They've created a catalog of them, and they've made this catalog initially completely public, but you could see the name of the journalist and their social media accounts, so that you already had quite a lot of value for free. What they will make you pay for 9 small dollars is the possibility of accessing all of their emails. Oh, you're enraged. You say, oh, how can they give you out the email of the journalist? Again, cool down. They're giving out emails that are already publicly accessible, but you try to see how much time is going to take you first to find out who are the top 250 journalists who specialize in startups, and second, go and try and find out their emails one by one by looking at their website and where it is published. How much time is going to take you? So if I say to you, give me now $9 and I give you all of this, that shows that curation is not just about rating the top 25 best tools to do this or that, or it's not just a typical article that curates different resources, ideas coming from different areas. That's all fine and good, but you see there is a lot more that we can be inspired from and take ideas from. So what is it called again, this, Robin? This is called Press Farm, and it gives you access to the top 250 journalists in the US that specialize on startups. That was approach number one for curation. Approach number two after filtering is aggregation. Definition from Rohit Bhargava, who around 2010-11 started to write about curation and to define this space more probably than any other had done before, at least by using these terms. And in his words, aggregation is the act of curating the most relevant information about a particular topic into a single location. It would seem the most obvious thing, and it is indeed nothing revolutionary to think of, but when it is properly done, it has tremendous value. When it is badly and lightly superficially done, it really brings only more noise and lowers the reputation of anyone who's behind it. What am I talking about? I'm talking about basically thematic news aggregators, thematic news channels, what I would call myself news radars. The most popular of all of them, in my opinion, is TechMeme. This is a website of just one page that is out there since already 11 years and that is extremely successful, not just in terms of audience, you can go and check the stats yourself, but also in terms of revenues. Because while the only thing they do is to collect the very best, most relevant breaking stories for Silicon Valley, startups, investors, and all the affiliated arts to this circus, they're also able, even though, again, this is just one page and it's not just done by an algorithm or a computer, but there are human editors selecting which stories and the order in which they're showcased, is complemented by a number of services on the page, actually 3 of them, that make TechMeme a lot of money. So on one end, the value here that is created is the fact that if I go to this website, I can have a breaking panorama of the news that is relevant to this world of startups, Silicon Valley investors, and venture capital. You may not be interested in this, but this is just an example. In fact, we will see that we can apply the same model to very different areas. And secondly, that this model, which is again a one-page website, can be extremely sustainable just by, I again see the feedback from another open microphone, Joyce K. If you can get them all muted, that would be fantastic.
Okay.
But can be made extremely rewarding from an economic viewpoint by complementing it with useful information services that are paid, like a sponsored post area, like what are next tech events, and which are jobs for hiring this area. These 3 slots are next to the main one in the, we could call it the central column of this site, and they bring in a lot of revenue. The prices for appearing there are not secret, and you can see them inside the backend page of this website. Again, this is TechMeme, and this model is so successful that the entrepreneur behind it, whose name is Gabe Rivera, has actually replicated the same model, the same approach over more than just one site. So once TechMeme was launched and proved to be good and sustainable, he replicated the same model with Media Gazer, which is all the information about media. All the breaking stories about media, you find them there. It's just a one-page website, same approach.
Yeah, Robin.
or memorandum, which is about politics. Yes?
Yes, Robin. We see the examples of filtering and aggregation, and but somehow it also seems similar. So can you say what is really the distinction between the two?
What is the difference between
Fil-
before we were looking at organization? So we're not doing anymore as we had agreed that we would have the question and answer at the end, and we go to the showcase now. Because again, I will need to jump some of this if we start breaking it up because there just is not enough time.
Yeah, okay,
So
we can
I
do that. We
wanted to
can
answer
skip
the
some of the
questions, but
examples, but I think
I
this is an
think
important question because otherwise people will not understand the difference. So what is so we can skip some of the examples?
yes,
Yeah.
the difference is that we're looking right now at examples of aggregation, that is uh, information that is best of information that is brought in one place and showcased. So this is mostly applicable in the area of news or top selection of items, while before we were looking at ways where uh, out of the universe of information that is available out there, we not only bring together, but we provide access to find and to create pathways and or to
Okay.
create
Yeah.
pathways to offer out.
Yeah.
So
So aggregation is
the
more automatic.
filtering we were looking at before is giving people. No, I don't think
No?
so.
Okay.
Why would that be?
I thought I was trying to understand the difference. I thought aggregation is, for instance, if you combine different Twitter feeds or different information, and it goes automatically. You make it searchable, and but filtering is you choose make your own filters and you make new learning paths. For instance, you do more of a selection with the information.
Yes, for filtering. Yes, for filtering, you're correct. We
Mm-hmm.
provide and facilitate the finding of information out of a great pool of resources that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
For aggregation, we
Yeah.
bring together, this does not have and should not be automatic,
Okay.
the
Yeah.
best, most relevant, or most recent, in this case,
Mm-hmm.
resources on a specific theme or topic.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Does that help, Saskia?
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yes. Yes, that explains it. Thank you, Robin. Yeah. So maybe you skip some examples and we go to the next?
Sure. Okay. So let's keep some stuff and let's look at this other good example of aggregation, which I think is relevant again for inspiring who works in organization or wants to see application besides the popular one. Smart Brief is a tremendously successful uh, publisher of newsletters in very many vertical fields. These are actually hundreds of them. You can see the areas that they cover. Inside business, they have 17, construction 12, education 20. What do? They pull together small teams of subject matter experts and then they build custom newsletters for every one of each one niche field. So you're in social business or you are in aviation, you are working in hospitals, there are newsletters in each one of these sectors which do a specific job. They go out and read all of the breaking news and stories that are out there, on all the different popular sources that are out there, and pick out and select and introduce for you the most relevant ones so that you can stay updated on your field by following one of these daily newsletters, which are totally free to access. Organizations that utilize curation to keep up their brand, their prestige, by not just leveraging their own inside sources and content writers are popular ones like Intel, IBM, or in this case, Adobe. They have a popular magazine that is published online that has a lot of curation aspects in it. Not only, in fact, they curate a Twitter channel on the sidebar where the tweets are not tweets from Adobe, but they are on the focus on the magazine, which is chief, chief marketing officer is what the acronym stands for, and so anything that relates to marketing is brought into this magazine online. In this section called Marketing News Feed, for example, on their homepage, you can see that the sources are not their own. CMS, Wire, ClickZ, Billboard, Adweek, and more. Inside the magazine, they refer to the Adobe Digital Index. This is another type of curation that would be very valuable for any organization to take on, and it is about curating and giving value to the data about customers or sales or research discoveries that have been made. And so through it, CMO publishes a lot of relevant information about their studies and makes it available to the public. A third way they use curation inside CMO here is by curating a relevant global calendar of events that are interesting for chief marketing officers. Again, this is not information they generate, they just collect, filter, and organize this information and make it publicly available for free so that CMO becomes a go-to resource for anybody interested in marketing. That's the URL right here, CMO by Adobe. Next approach I would like to look at is distillation. That is the act of curating information to more simplistic formats, says Rohit Bhargava, where only the most important or relevant ideas are shared. Let's take an example here. The Mods is a big company that works in the area of SEO. What they have been doing for several years is try to reverse engineer how you can get on top of Google search result pages. How they've done this, they've gathered together the best SEO experts, and they've asked each one of them to provide their own expertise in ranking which are the values that count the most in appearing on top of Google search engine result pages. So they have gone out, they have asked these questions to all these experts, and then they have curated a catalog of ranked by importance of all the critical factors that one should be looking at if he wants to improve how this page's content is going to rank there. This is a tremendously valuable work, and it is all about curating information that already is out there but needs to be brought together and presented and shared in effective ways. Another popular examples of distillation is the one of playlists. On TED, we have several of these examples because, as for YouTube, although in a lesser manner, if you go to TED, although it's a fantastic resource, it is not easy for you to find something that inspires, motivates you, unless you're able to search or to find, like in this case, collections that have been curated by different experts around areas like technology entertainment or different other topics. You see, each one of these compilations brings together multiple videos as to enhance the possibility for me to discover what I'm looking for without having me waste a million hours looking for it. Not many people, or probably some of you, I should say, know about a resource that is not extremely popular, but leverages again the power of curation for learning. That is, TED makes available to all the users out there for free a resource that allows you to pick any one existing video, and by adding value through questions, discussions, and additional resources, make it become a lesson, a class, a true learning resource. So TED, again, in synthesis, what it does, it provides a free resource whereby you can take any video that is out there and add your own questions, discussions, and resources to make it more valuable and become a learning resource for other people out there. It's called TED Videos, and you can find it online, publicly accessible to anyone. A more simple example of distillation is one that we see frequently online. This is Jane Hart's list of top 100 tools for learning. It's something she maintains every single year. She's now collecting, and you can see from the menu in the gray bar already votes for 2016 top tools. She distills basically through the votes and suggestions and comments from her readers and her community to save us time and give us insight in what could be best tools for our own use in the learning environment. She's got different categories, and she creates through this public free venue also an opportunity to enlarge its community and to promote her own services, products, or books, like you can see in this case. This is from Jane Hart. I myself am a passionate since the very beginning that I started to work on the internet as early as 1999, 2000. I've been reviewing, testing, vetting out tools that could be useful to communicate more effectively with new media technologies at all levels, especially those that don't require me to be an enterprise and have a lot of budget to use them. So I have a large catalog that I keep on updating every single day that's called Top Tools, where I categorize, sort, and make available for others the very top tools for online communication professionals, just like you, in different categories. And this helps me build community and let my expertise be appreciated before people come to me and asking for something more specific. Let me jump now to number 4 approach to curation, which is, yes, go ahead. I can hear an open microphone. Is there somebody who wants to talk to me?
No, I closed the microphones, huh? Yeah.
Right? I can still hear you.
I think it's Sibrenne typing.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yes.
You have good ears, Robin.
I think it's your microphone open.
Yeah, she closed it now. Yeah.
We've got synthesis. Let me give you another practical example of synthesis and where its use of synthesis is. This is an interesting startup. What they do is they wake up early in the morning, 2-3 hours before you do. They go down to the newsstand and they buy all the newspapers that are out, online, print. They read all the news and they put out by 7 o'clock in the morning a release of all the top news you should know about, so that when you go down at 8:30 and you stop at the bar, if you are in Italy, you want to talk to people, you already have the full picture there. So they actually read and summarize and synthesize in a 5-minute read all of the top news of the day out of all the newspapers that are published on that day. They ask you for a subscription. They have a 30-day trial. I know you don't read Italian, and this is not for you. But we've got also some interesting Dutch examples, not exactly in this direction, but similar ones. There is Blendel, who's a Dutch company doing great curation work for journalism by allowing people to find the very best content out of the top newspapers, even the content that normally you would need to pay for, and bring it to you by selecting, picking it, and providing you suggestions in the area you have expressed you have some interest. Synthesis can be, again, replicated inside the organization and commercially in many different ways. One other interesting real-world example is this service called Blinkist. What they do is, just like Good Morning Italia brought to the world of books, you need to learn and update yourself a lot these days. So what best way to have a company, a service made out of people that actually reads and summarizes these books for you? They synthesize, they make it a 15-minute read. They also provide audiobooks for you to get the best of something that would take probably a number of days to read in just a 15-minute snapshot. Jump. To recover some of that time. Investigation. This is one of the most fascinating areas for curation. If you're not familiar with Snowfall, you should be familiar. This is a kind of new genre style for journalism that came out a few years back and has become a milestone in creating journalism that is not just shallow and about quantity, but it is about going into depth. For example, this very story, which is the first popular example of this investigative type of journalism, which is highly curated work, includes videos, lots of resources, animations in 3D where you explore the area where these stories actually happened, first-person reports, witnesses that speak about what happened to them, slideshows, and a number of facts and reports from the original sources that allow you to go through an article like it was almost a book. This is high-value content curation, and again, this reference article that broke the genre is called Snowfall, was published on the New York Times. You can go and check it out. And after it, there has been an avalanche of other newspapers as well as organizations of all kinds that have used this approach because it creates so much value for the reader out there. In fact, so much so that there is a collection out there of all these resources and you can be inspired and look at them. I have taken a reference for you. Here is a short URL for it. It's not being created by me, by Mr. Bobby Johnson of Matter, a company that studies and investigates a lot about media and their approach to new ways of doing things. A different way of looking at, totally different way of looking at investigation is the approach these other guys have used, which is to explore and investigate exactly how companies take users on board. You know, when you sign up for Twitter or Skype or Facebook, there is an onboarding process. And companies today are hungry to know what works best and what not. And what this guy does is he takes screenshots of all the single steps that many of the successful startups take to onboard their users on. And he comments and provides feedbacks and insight into each one of these elements, sharing them publicly for free, creating therefore a highly curated resource that is a fantastic example of which approaches to user onboarding work and which other don't. He makes it sustainable by selling tutorials, ebooks, and courses on the same topic. Why it is so important, having taken probably a number of examples that go out of the normal perimeter of what it is that we think of curation in the traditional sense, let me highlight what are the key benefits of using content curation. I think I'd like to go to the end and not stop again because we have 8 minutes officially left. So while it'll be my pleasure for me to extend my presence here to listen and answer to your questions, I think it is my duty, Joyce, to at least be able to finish my idea, unless you really want to come in.
I think it's very nice to move now indeed to how you can use it in the organization. So that's good.
Well, we've actually looked at how to use this inside the organization in every single example we've looked at. Because from the very first example of Coursera, Joyce, you have right there a clear, tangible, real-world example of how any organization can do the same for the interest areas, the resources, the tools, the people, the content they care about. That is it. I mean, there is no meta level to look at. You have seen already all examples that can be replicated inside most any organization, outside of those that want to keep all of the information for themselves, otherwise competitors are going to steal it from us. Outside of those, this is open to anyone. Tell me if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
David?
Mm-hmm. Let's ask the people to type in the chat.
I don't hear an answer.
Yes, because I muted them. Huh? It makes sense. Yeah. Typing yes, it makes sense. Yeah.
I have lost.
They're typing in the chat that it makes a lot of sense.
I haven't been able to follow it, so I'm trying to catch up.
Now there's a question about the 5 types of content curating, filtering, aggregation, etc. But I think it's nice if we do the part about the organization first, and then we come back to the 5 types.
We have a 1 hour time. We have 5 minutes left.
Yes.
You want to break and do the final, then go back to 5?
No, just continue with the organization. I think that's interesting to move to the organization. That how can you do it in an organization?
That would be lovely. Thank you. I appreciate. I would love to summarize some of those ideas that we've seen from those examples. If those were obvious applications to you, well, we can still analyze in practical terms what those applications mean and can be used and where they can be used inside the organization. If they were new to you, so much the better, because certainly we've opened new doors to see how we can use existing information to create a lot of value for our customers or potential customers. First of all, we can save people a lot of time. So whenever we're looking into one of these projects, I think one variable we can see that is across the board is that this project saves people time. And you know how much an important asset that is today. Curation projects that collects and organize information facilitate the discovery of other information. So if you have a large organization and they have lots of courses, a lot of experts, a lot of departments, curating information helps the people inside the organization find out more easily where that stuff is, whether they're papers, whether they're tools, whether the people again. It allows us to preserve. We haven't seen examples of this today, but certainly, tangibly, curation allows us to preserve rare, precious things. Because while we think that the internet is there, and most of you are going to be surprised by this, more than 30% of the content that is there today is not going to be there tomorrow. Because people stop paying for their hosting provider because of censorship, because of legal requirements, because you move things from one place to another and Google doesn't know anymore. There are many different reasons why content, and especially public content from government, disappears very rapidly. So curating content allows organizations to preserve and make it accessible for content that normally would just disappear after a while. It facilitates choosing, because every one of us has that experience I have every time I go to the supermarket and look for a shampoo. We have it inside many sites online where there are so many choices, so many possibilities, that it would be so much better if there was a guide, somebody that has specific preferences we like, we feel affinity for, and remembers of us and guides us in choosing what is the best for us. The ability to compare and analyze things, this is important, and by gathering, collecting, and providing facility to search, filter, and compare things, we can provide a lot of value to users, customers, and readers. We can use curation to inform and update by looking at many different sources and creating a news channel that allows you to come only here and learn everything that is important to you in this field, as well as I did today, by curating and gathering many different examples that are out there. We can inspire people with the models that are useful for them to picture in their heads what things are about. So what can you create by curating content? Because curating content is nothing inferior to writing. It's actually, in many ways, if not all, something superior, more challenging, more time-consuming, and definitely a lot more difficult than writing. So you can evaluate and compare multiple products and services inside an organization with the goal of helping your customers or users inside the organization identify the best solutions. This is useful in all cases, whether you're a bank or whether you sell music records. Showcase the entire range of products and services available in a specific sector, that is, so that you provide a panorama, a better view of something that is well organized. You can organize and facilitate how things are found, especially resources and tools that are either useful to your staff inside the organization without them going crazy. You can catalog and organize them, or for your own customers, even though those tools you do not build or sell yourself. You can catalog valuable people in specific interest areas, and this brings prestige and expertise to you, brings good relationship and partnership with valuable people, and is useful for all parties involved. You can illustrate and explain things that are very difficult through curation by using approaches like the investigation ones that I show you through Snowfall and similar examples. You can therefore help others learn a topic much better, not only by offering them curated content, but by offering them the opportunity to curate content. You can help others really dive, immerse into content and understand it and make it their own. So inquiry, investigation of a problem, or collecting and organizing success stories, which can be, once again, great inspiration, is very valuable, practical, tasks, actions where curation can be taken inside any organization. Last but not least, the examples of templates and checklists that you normally don't think of as curation, but which in fact they are. Because to create valuable templates or checklists, you need to be an expert in the matter and bring together the very best of it, and from that synthesize which are the key steps or the key questions to ask to create a certain content product, a report, or whatever needs to be done. So many useful things can be done by curating information in some of the different ways we've looked at.
Yes, very nice
Joyce,
examples. Yes.
can't wait to come in, so
Yeah.
I don't even attempt to go on.
Yeah. Shall we stop here, Robin? Because it's already 9 o'clock. And I think you've given a lot of interesting examples, and also this last part, it's really inspiring of what you can create. But there's at least, I will give also the floor to other questions, but I think there's one, if everybody's prepared to take 5 more minutes, I think there's one important question, which is you've shown the filtering, aggregation, distillation, synthesis, and investigation. But somehow the examples, like for instance Coursera, doesn't seem easy to replicate for us as individual professionals. And I know you do a lot of the filtering, aggregation, distillation yourself. So I was wondering if you could just give one example of the 5 different types and the way we could do it ourselves. For instance, could you give an example of filtering? How can we tomorrow start filtering something?
Sure. Go to nomadlist.com. Show it to us.
Which one? Which site?
Nomadlist.com. HTTP nomadlist.com. It's in the chat, Joytske. Let me talk for a second. This is a resource that is made with the same approach as Coursera, and has been created by one person only. Obviously, now it looks very rich, but it started very simple. This guy travels around the world and he likes to collect information about the places where he stays. So he collects information about the internet, about the rent, about the kind of life that you can have, and he puts it together in a database, and he makes this information publicly available. Now, this is something that anyone can do as long as you put some dedicated energy every single day to it. I don't think it is a matter of technology, it is a matter of consistency, of being out there every single day doing what you are interested in.
Yeah. Sibren is asking, for instance, can we start using Pinterest to build something like that?
Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. There are a million different tools depending on what type of information you're curating and for what type of application you do it. So to say Pinterest, it's like to say, can I go with the Volkswagen to the game? Yes, you can go, but if you tell me what are the alternatives, maybe we can find a better car.
Yeah. And Saskia is asking, are there best practices for adding value? For instance, you yourself, you have this save and you have many different sites where you curate. What is the best practice to add value to the different resources, in your opinion?
Fantastic question. Thank you for asking it. The best way to add value is to bring in your own voice and to explain to the readers, to the tribe, to the audience that you are curating for, what is it in there that is of value for you and that you have identified of interest and therefore are recommending this. So if I am curating a list of tools, if I just list these tools, but I do not tell you why I recommend this tool, why I think it is so good, then I'm not really adding value to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So like in Scoop It, you can add also when you find interesting resources and you use Scoop It, you can add your own opinion.
Yes, not to promote myself, but I think that my channel here in Scoop It is a good example of adding value. It does exactly what I said, and this is the place where I do it best. So if you want to see content where for every single content I add some true value, I think you can see an example there.
Yes, I think that's because the question was for us it's difficult to create a site like Coursera. Some of the examples are not within our reach so easily, but maybe as an organization it is. But I think it is interesting for people if they follow you on some of your sites, even your newsletter. I think that's also inspiring because I think you have a lot of different, let's say, spaces where you create, yeah, on the internet. So we'll also share that. Yeah. And Yolanda is asking if we look at this your presentation slides. Do you think that is an act of filtering or is it synthesis? Maybe that's a matter of definition, but what do you think?
I would think it is more of an act of synthesis than filtering, though I can see that one could see some filtering into it as well. I think these approaches, this categorization is there to help, but also to confuse us. So take them only as useful as they are. Again, they're not sculpted in the stone, those categories. And what you see as aggregation, somebody may see as distillation of
Yes.
filtering. So
Yeah.
since you're not going to get a score or a vote like an exam, the important thing is to see things that you didn't see before. So if aggregation for you is obvious, well, look at filtering and trying to make sense of it so that you expand the ways in which you can look at curation.
Yeah. And how many curation channels do you actually have, Robin? Did you ever count them?
No, I don't. I don't count them. I curate a few things. I think Flipboard is now the place where I curate the news about curation. So there is a Flipboard channel by Robin Good about content curation. I think you have posted it on your newsletter as well. And then I curate a lot of tools and resources. You've seen a website I've shown before during today's showcase, and then on Zif.com, which is a Dutch company. Congratulations to you guys for making it possible. I have lots of collections of tools. Yes.
You said, oh, Save. Oh, okay, I thought I understood this. Yeah. Ah, yeah, that's true. Save is a Dutch one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you like it. And a very good question by Saskia. Because I almost forgot it, but we filled in your survey about what is high quality content. And we are very curious if you already have some results, because there were some good questions in it.
Yeah, the results are publicly out there. I think if you search for Wow Factor 2016, you should be able to find the results so far that they've published on medium.com. Let me see if I can give you the URL right here, right now. Okay, Wow Factors 2016.
Oh, wow factor.
Google doesn't find it, so let's
I
have the
understood
Robin
wild
Good.
factor. Oh, yeah.
You
Yeah,
found it?
otherwise you can
Okay, here
also
it.
share it with us later. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna post.
Yeah.
See, and I'm sharing it
Oh,
with you
great.
right now inside
Oh,
the
yeah.
chat. It is available there right now.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Wow factors. That can really help us to think of what really people appreciate when they think about content. Well, it's already almost 9:15, and I would really like to thank you for all your
Sure.
enthusiasm and all your examples, and it's really been flooding us. And I enjoyed it, and I'm going to look at a lot of the examples that you gave us and see how we can translate it. Maybe as a last, as a wrap up, we can ask participants to type in the chat one takeaway from this webinar. What is one new idea or one new insight that they take away from this webinar before we go to relax? In the Azores, it's also in the evening, isn't it?
Here it's still a lot of sunshine. It's officially 7:15, but it's actually earlier than that because we've been assigned a time zone for commercial reasons. We actually should be 3 or 4 hours away from you.
Ah, okay, yeah, here it's now 9:15. Yeah, yeah. And so Yvonne is saying some new horizons. I think you've really
So is it
stretched.
dark there?
No, it's still light, huh? It's light till almost 10:15. So this is really the best time in the Netherlands. If you ever want to visit the Netherlands,
Yes.
come in June, end of June. Yeah. So some of the takeaways, I think it's nice to have a look at them. That a good curator can add value, and a broader view of content curations and how organizations can benefit. Yes, that's the same for me. Lots of good ideas to think about. Bring your own value and explain why. Learning by curation. And Saskia says I have a better idea of content creation as a business model now. And an idea she wants to try out. Yeah, and a lot to think about. Yes, I think you really managed to stretch our thinking and imagination about content curation, and that it's more than just compiling a list, and that there are so many different types of curating. Hmm? And Anne is still a bit confused. I think the next time when we meet, we will discuss and maybe discuss more examples of how we can use these 5 different types. And indeed, it's a very nice remark that don't get hung up on this definition, but use it as a way to think about new ways of curating.
In fact, it would be very appropriate right now, Joyce, to have to give the possibility to your students, now that we have a little bit shaken their ideas, to say and share how they would apply it or ideas they have, because it is now that we can help them the most. That's why I suggested that we went through the showcase without breaking it, so that then we could have time to actually listen truly to our listeners, because most of them, to me, are going away, yes, with some inspiration, but maybe they have some open questions that they've not resolved because there was really no direct interaction between me and them.
Yeah. Yeah, but we'll do that with the people in the course. We can still do that. And also, you're unfortunate because we always had 1.5 hour webinar, and we considered it very long, so we shortened it to 1 hour. So, and just when we shorten it, it seems like 1.5 hour would have been more appropriate. Yeah. Even in Saskia saying for this we needed even 2 hours. Yeah, yeah. But that's in fact we shortened it because it's quite a heavy demand on the energy in the evening to listen to somebody. So I think this works well, and we'll let people digest, and then we'll still talk about how they're going to apply it. Yeah. So thank you very much. Greetings to the roosters.
Okay.
Okay.
Welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
And we'll all follow you on all your channels. So for the participants also.
You've been very kind, and thank you who have participated, and thank you for having spent this time. If you do have curation questions that you want to pose to me, the best way to do that is to go on Quora.com and pose any question you want to me. I'll be happy to answer it. You can specify that the question is for me or not specify it. I'll be happy to answer any questions relating to this topic freely and publicly there. Thank you so much again for your attention today. Thank you, Joyski and Sibren, for having had me this evening.
Yeah. Thank you, Robin. Bye-bye. And thanks for your extra time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And so for the participants, if you want to close the webinar, you can close it in your browser. And have a nice evening. Bye-bye.